Okay, so we're gonna now actually start in lesson 5. So as you can see, I'm in lesson 5. So you can follow along on your own or take these videos and go step by step. We're going to be looking at the last name.space file created in lesson 2. So make sure you have that open. I already opened mine. So I have my inner planets, all the planets, the gas giant, and the outer planets. And they're in the same locations that I started last time. So back to here, we're going to be working with Mercury first. So make sure you select Mercury and display it in the movement tab in the properties. So we're looking for properties, the movement tab, and the Mercury object. So let's go back to our game. So I see that there's properties here, but there's nothing here. So I'm going to choose Mercury. So make sure my inner planet is selected. I'm going to find Mercury, which is this one right here. Inside properties, I have movement. Now I'm going to go back to our game, or sorry, the book, and it says change the type to circular. So right now, as you'll notice, the thing says static. Static means it's not moving. Static is just completely still. So I'm going to change that to circular. So under movement extensions, choose circular. You'll notice a whole bunch of new settings pop up. So then we're going to change the angular velocity. So velocity is like speed. So angular velocity is how quickly it's moving in a direction around something else. So we're going to move it to 60. And let's move that here. So move it start. Yes. Angular velocity, instead of 180, I want it to be 60. There it is. Angular velocity 60. Next, we'll come back and we'll set the radius. So change the radius to 275. So the radius is 275. We'll come back and make sure we didn't miss anything. So the sun's going to be the center. The visual center of the sun sprite is x equals 0. So that's, remember, the origin or the beginning place. And then it looks like the radius for the circle Mercury will follow around the 0. Yes, so around the sun, which is what we want. So now it says move the cursor to the visual center of the sun object. This is the white circle. Let's go back over here. There's the white circle right here. Click. Look at the coordinate indicator at the bottom, and it should say the coordinates of the visual center point are 0, 400. So let's look and see if that's correct. So down here, looks like that visual is 0, 400. And mine doesn't look like that, so I think we need to change that. But let me double check real quick. All right, so yes, we're going to be setting the center X property to 0 and the center Y property to 400. So back in our game, we're going to go to Mercury and back to our movement. We want the center X property to 0 and the center Y property to 400. And that's that step, just following it piece by piece. And that should, says these properties determine the coordinates of the point at which the object will rotate. So they're all going to be rotating around one particular point, and that's the 0, 400. So let's take a look and see if it actually does. Went around. Will it come back? There it is. All right, so now we have a rotation, circular movement with an angular velocity of 60, radius of 275, center of 400, or 0, 400, which will revolve around the sun. Next, what you need to do is do the exact same thing with Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, so that all of them will rotate around the sun with the correct angular velocity, radius, and center of rotation. So go ahead and change those for each of the actual planets. All right, so after you've done each of those, you should be able to go back to your game, or your background, run the frame, and see all of your planets move. Now, they're not actually disappearing, they're moving around. And as Mercury goes twice, you should start seeing, there you go, Venus come through. And then as Venus goes through once or twice, you'll see Earth. Because remember, the closer you are to the center of the sun, the faster you're going to be revolving. So here's Venus, and Earth should be coming in pretty soon. think it takes a few times for it to come through.